when we talk about this exam, it requires discipline rather than motivation. And you will get motivated when you are disciplined. Reels can motivate you for a time period, maybe for a fraction of a minute. But discipline is something which will keep you motivated throughout your journey.
This is an academic exam. This exam is not about your opinions or the opinions that you see on the social media. It is about how a country sees things, how the diplomatic community sees the things, how the foreign policy of the country is formed.
Students are very particular, like what Gandhi ate, where did Gandhi have his bath. So these are irrelevant. So as a teacher, I need to be very strict to tell them that this is not required.
It's just that the phobia के minister सुना है, MLA सुना है, अकबर सुना है, mountain सुना है, but GDP कभी नहीं सुना है.
Is Sardar Patel क्या PM बनने चाहिए? Why do you want to know the answer for it when it's not important for the exam?
But जैसे कि इंडिया को
UNESCO can take you anywhere.
Sir, even government is not able to explain that.
Sir, social media will make you believe that you attack tomorrow China and you will win the war.
That's what I'm saying.
Social media can make you believe anything.
Ma'am also said about history. बाजीराव मस्तानी सर हिस्ट्री नहीं पढ़ सकते, but आप उस टाइम के लिए कन्विंस हो जाओगे कि हमारा एंटरटेनमेंट भी हो गया और हमें सीखने को भी मिल गया. That is not true.
Every student who aspires to become a civil servant always has this question in mind, that when should I start the preparation for the civil services examination? We are sitting in early 2025. The people who will be appearing in the 25 attempt have already started preparation, and many of them might be in the verge of completion of the preparation. But for aspirants aspiring for 2026 and the later attempts, should remember that this is the right time to begin the preparation. But we all understand that there are many questions that keep on going in the minds of the aspirants as to how to start, which sources to refer to, how to balance current affairs, specific questions related to subjects like history, how to prepare economy, how to prepare polity, or how to manage current affairs and their application in these subjects. To solve all these questions, today we have gathered here the team of the Unacademy. Everyone will be answering your questions and queries in detail, and we'll be discussing every nuance of the preparation as to what will benefit a student who is starting the preparation right now. So we have with us K.Kirthika ma'am, Piyush, Gambhir sir, Anubhav sir, Thaploo sir, and myself, Mangal Singh. So welcome everyone. I hope it will be an insightful discussion, and I think students will be able to benefit a lot by having your insights with experience that we all come here on this platform. I'll start the first question that is there in the mind. Everybody has this notion that NCERTs are the beginning or the first step for the preparation of the civil service examination. So Anubhav sir, what do you feel is the importance of the NCERT in the preparation?
So Mangal sir, actually when we think about it, a lot of time we have this habit of complicating a preparation a lot in terms of this is important, that is important, this is important for foundation. I think at times we need to make it very simple. When UPSC is conducting this exam, the whole idea is that we need to conduct it based on material which is available in every part of India, in every district, in every village, right?
Absolutely.
So NCERTs are something which is approved by Government of India. It is something which is having the certification required with respect to what is proper knowledge, right?
Yes, sir.
In this respect, when we talk about UPSC preparation, we are actually preparing for general studies. What can be more general and what can be more government approved than NCERTs? So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind with respect to getting proper foundational knowledge, starting knowledge with respect to the subjects, polity, history, economy, geography. NCERTs will always be very important. In this respect, what happens is with respect to every subject, what all NCERTs, which all years NCERT is important may change. But certainly NCERTs will always form a very important part of foundational understanding.
That's a really insightful view on what is the importance of the NCERT, because it is known that NCERT is available almost in every part of the country. It is not just restricted to only a specific area. Plus, every person who aspires to become an aspirant can have easy access to NCERT, which is, I think, the most democratic academic resource that is available.
Exactly.
देखिए, अनअकैडमी आपके यूपीएससी ड्रीम को साकार करने के लिए, आपकी इस जर्नी में आपकी मदद करने के लिए हमेशा तत्पर है, हमेशा आगे रहता है. और आपकी इसी क्वालिटी प्रिपरेशन को मजबूत बनाने के लिए आपका जीएस फाउंडेशन कोर्स फॉर 2026 और 2027 अवेलेबल है एक बहुत ही स्पेशल प्राइस में आपके लिए. तो अब एक बार बैचेस के बारे में जान लीजिए. देखिए, दिल्ली के मुखर्जी नगर में जो आपका ऑफलाइन सेंटर है, वहाँ पर आपके नए बैचेस शुरू होने वाले हैं. आपका बिहार के पटना में जो सेंटर है, आपका नया सेंटर, वहाँ पे शुरू होने वाले हैं. इसके अलावा उत्तर प्रदेश के प्रयागराज के सिविल लाइंस में जो सेंटर है, वहाँ भी सेम प्राइस पर के बैचेस शुरू हो जाएंगे. और दिल्ली के करोल बाग सेंटर पर भी आपके जो बैचेस हैं वो भी शुरू होने वाले हैं। तो जल्दी ही इस वीडियो के नीचे डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स पर क्लिक करिए, वहाँ आपको एक लिंक मिलेगा, आप उस पर एनरोल कर सकते हैं या फिर वॉक इन भी कर सकते हैं किसी भी ऑफलाइन सेंटर पर। अनअकैडमी के साथ आपको काफ़ी सारे एडवांटेजेस भी इस बैच पे मिलते हैं, डेडिकेटेड सीसेट और ऐसे राइटिंग क्लासेस, 360 डिग्री करंट अफेयर्स का कवरेज मंथली मैगजीन के साथ, 40+ सेक्शनल और फुल लेंथ टेस्ट प्री और मेंस के लिए, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव कवरेज जनरल स्टडीज का, रेगुलर इंटरेक्शन आपके एजुकेटर्स के साथ और 1-to-1 मेंटोरशिप और डाउट सॉल्विंग सेशंस। जल्दी से जल्दी डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में जाकर क्लिक करिए, अपनी तैयारी को मजबूत बनाइए। धन्यवाद।
Sir, another question that always students have in their mind is how to balance the current affairs and the static, because NCERT is of course mostly related to the static portion of it. It although gives you some glimpses into how things have evolved in the past, how those news articles made some sense back then. But generally the question is there that how the static and the current affairs have to balance. Sir, if I ask you, Piyush sir, tell us what is the importance of the current affairs in the preparation of the civil service examination, and how important it is to balance the current affairs with the static portion of the syllabus?
So as we've all seen, like the exam is so dynamic, the questions are evolving day-to-day basis. So if you prepare the static ones, you get an understanding of what's happening.
Right.
But then the application part of that is what is your current affairs. So even if it's about mains answer writing or even attempting questions, getting an analysis of what is happening is what is making your information more wide. And that application is that what helps in mains, whether it is about essay writing, expression skills, or even the GS4 subjects. A lot of application is what makes your answer more diverse. This is where you can get more marks. So current affairs is where the application part lies. So first we prepare the static and then we move to current affairs. A combination of two, you get a rank.
Oh, that's great. Really simple and succinct answer, like what is required in the UPSC. Another question that is there in the minds of the aspirants, that they start the preparation. They start the preparation very enthusiastically. They plan things on their own, but sometimes they lose the way in somewhere in between. Or sometimes when they start it on their own and when they are not following a structured plan, it can become overwhelming, and you, even if you are deserving, you might not be able to sustain the pressure that is there. So, sir, what is the importance? I would like to ask Vineet, sir, what is the importance of having a structured plan for the preparation of the civil service examination?
See, I will just try to focus on two basic things. When we talk about this exam, it requires discipline rather than motivation. And you will get motivated when you are disciplined.
But there is a lot of stuff on the internet going on.
I was coming to that only. Reels can motivate you for a time period. Maybe for a fraction of a minute, maybe for a day. But discipline is something which will keep you motivated throughout your journey.
Absolutely.
And here when I come, there are two types of people who are preparing for this exam. One is those who want to do self-study and they do qualify it. Another is who want a structured plan to qualify this exam. So when I talk about those students who are studying themselves and qualifying this exam, it means throughout their journey they are disciplined.
Even if they don't take support from anyone.
Sure. And when we talk about the coaching, the role what coaching is playing, they are making you more disciplined.
Absolutely.
They give you real test environment.
A plan.
Like if I put it in such a way, when you come into the coaching, you do more over a smart work, which I break into like specific. Your goals are specific, measurable, achievable,
definitely,
reliable, and if you talk about time bound.
Yeah, they give you a timeline also. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So students get distracted, demotivated, social media is there. So much material is available on the internet. You see a lot of Telegram channels, lot of YouTube channels are there. For a particular subject, there are so much material available. Students get confused what to read, what not to read. This is where the coaching plays an important role. We tell you what to read, what not to read, and how to read. If you follow that direction, if you follow that guideline, obviously you will never distract away from your field.
So, sir has rightly highlighted that social media is a double-edged sword. Although we are interacting on this platform, which is social media, but there is always a scope for misinformation on social media. So you'll have to be very much aware of grabbing the information very carefully. Coming to subject-specific preparation, because all of you might have a set of questions in your mind that I do not have a liking for history, or I don't have a background in history. I do not have a liking for economics, or I don't have a liking for geography, and I don't have a background in these subjects. Mostly, the people from science background do not have any exposure to general studies. The people to the subjects in general studies. People from humanities background do not have an exposure in the science subjects. So that is always a concern in the minds of the aspirants. So I would like to ask Kritika ma'am you about history, which is one of the most lengthy portions in general studies. Like you have ancient history, medieval history, modern, then you have post-independence and the world history. So the syllabus is humongous, and there is always a concern in the minds of the aspirants that how we are going to memorize so many facts that are there, and how how we have to develop an interest in the history so that it becomes easy for us to grasp the information that is there, the quantum of syllabus that is there, and how to make our preparation very much focused in that. What would be the role of the previous questions, ma'am?
So as you said to begin with, history is one of the lengthiest subject. And generally students have an aversion that they fear history. As I see students, they get scared. And they come with lots of confusion like, ma'am, what to study, where to start.
Yeah.
So to begin with, the first one would be the NCERTs. So to start on with. The second one I would recommend is the class notes of the teacher. Because the teacher plays a very, very, very important role in preparing for this exam, and particularly a subject like history, which is considered to be dry, considered to be, lengthy. You require a teacher where the teacher can break the facts.
Because I'm a teacher like you who comes with a lot of experience
Of course.
appearing in the examination and then guiding students to success, knows that what are the areas to be focused on, right?
So we know, we actually teachers, generally when I teach, I cut certain things which is not required. So we focus on the major areas, and it's a factual subject. So facts are to be studied, but UPSC asks you more concepts. To retain the concepts, again, facts play a very important role. That comes with frequent revision. So again, doing the PYQs and practice set of questions again and again. As Vineet sir said, discipline is the key fact here in this preparation. Commitment plays a very important role, and history can be made much easier with the role of the teacher. So that's why academies play a major important role in clearing this exam.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am has rightly highlighted history is not just about facts, because in our day-to-day discussions, everybody keeps on asking the year in which this particular person won that battle, but that is also embedded in the analysis part of that particular event that has happened in the past.
Add on, sir, now UPSC doesn't ask you the years. So which year Akbar attacked, which year Panipat
I think that's a very, very layman's discussion is that only.
So now it's like more towards concepts. So you need to hear it from the teacher and then go accordingly. So that would make some sense.
I can put one thing here. It's not a test. It's not now an exam of general knowledge. It's about general studies.
True.
And I think UPSC clearly mentions it in its syllabus also, where before the mains examination syllabus, most of the students skip that part. They've already highlighted that the exam is not about your checking, it's not checking your information that you can memorize. They are actually trying to understand your analytical abilities.
And social media now, sir, they deviate. As a history teacher, I've seen like the quality of students who come and sit now. So when I teach, say, for example, about Gandhi in detail, they're very particular about, ma'am, what did Gandhi eat for his breakfast during Dandi March, which is not required. We're not bothered about it. So how many miles did they cover? So what did Gandhi address? So we are not here to talk about like, again, we can even give a framework like which are the social media then which covered the Dandi March, international media. So who gave a reference about Gandhi? This is what I generally teach. But students are very particular like what Gandhi ate, where did Gandhi have his bath. So these are irrelevant. So as a teacher, I need to be very strict to tell them that this is not required.
And ma'am, then what about the knowledge related to history that people are getting from social media?
So that again, sir, it's biased.
Okay.
Because people watch Bajirao Mastani and they sit for Peshwa.
Ah.
They watch Alauddin Khilji and sit. No, that's a fiction. So I tell students like now.
That's cinema, right?
It's a cinema. Now the movie Ponniyin Selvan has come.
Yeah.
So I'm from Tamil Nadu. So I tell them that this is not Rajaraja Chola.
Okay.
So it's a fiction. It's based on a novel. But you can't exactly take facts from a movie, and you can't be so much, influenced. That's an entertainment one. It's like Bahubali. You watch, you laugh, you come out. That's it.
Absolutely.
To extend on that point,
Yeah, sir, please.
one of the things that has happened is, and very rightly pointed out by ma'am, that somewhere because of the sensationalism that we see in YouTube or the social media platform in general, what has happened is suddenly now academics is being reduced into clickbait. We just want to, want the audience that we want you to watch this lecture. And in the process, what has happened is the gravitas required for academic preparation of UPSC is getting lost. So one of the discussions that we often have at Unacademy is how exactly we can keep on guiding and mentoring students. Well, this is something that is required for the exam. and not so much what you might be watching in movies, as ma'am said, or someone actually coming out with a camera and then having a monologue with respect to what happened in history, right?
Absolutely.
So I think gravitas is something which is very important with respect to academic preparation. We need to understand what exactly UPSC is expecting, what is there in the syllabus, and what has been the pattern of the exam. Secondly, we also have to understand the expectation of the examiner over there. Until unless we are not meeting that expectation and we are just trying to portray history or subject like polity or subject like geography the way in which we are seeing it in movies or in social media, it will not take us to the goal. So it might be something which is interesting, but certainly not something that will help us in the exam.
So next I was coming to you only, related to polity and governance part of the preparation. Normally, when somebody begins the preparation, he gets his hands on the constitution.
True.
Right, like most of the people are not aware about the constitution or what exactly is written in the constitution, who have not prepared for the examination or who are not doing any practice, legal practice, or they are doing law for that matter. So sometimes what happens is, people, when they get their hands on the constitution, they feel that there are more than 395, 400 articles, so many things to be memorized. How are we going to understand those articles? How exactly should we memorize these? How are we going to understand them? Then there is a part of governance which has current affairs. That is another focus in that. Plus, the constitution has an analytical part also.
True.
It is not just about those facts and the articles that are there in the constitution or the things that are just mentioned in those articles. Beyond that, there are interpretations, etc. So that is why polity can sometimes become overwhelming when somebody is starting. So what is your take on that?
See, my core belief with respect to UPSC preparation has always been that your preparation with respect to any subject is as good as how well you are able to solve the questions that are coming in the exam. If you are not able to solve the question, it doesn't matter how much you have studied. If you are able to solve the questions, whatever you have studied is good enough. In this regard, it will all come down to how exactly UPSC has been asking questions on polity.
Yes.
In this respect, a lot of time, as you very rightly pointed out, sir, that people think polity is about mugging up articles.
Yeah.
But UPSC is not asking questions on articles, right? A lot of time people think it is about understanding everything that is there in the constitution.
Ask the question on the exact
What
article.
is Article 272? They won't ask a question on that, right, sir? In this respect, it will all come down to how exactly they look at general studies of polity, general studies of constitution, right? In this respect, they are actually first mentioning it in the syllabus, what exactly are the topics that we would want you to have knowledge on. And secondly, when you analyze be it the prelims or the mains, the focus has been mainly on the analytical part.
Okay.
They would want you to be able to understand about right to privacy. They would want you to be able to understand the term like reasonable restrictions which are there in fundamental rights, right? In the same manner, they are also linking it with things that are happening in current affairs. For example, right to privacy pay, the question had come in the year, or for the 2 years in fact, when right to privacy data protection laws were being discussed. So the first thing that we need to do is that we need to define the syllabus. We first will need to of course start with NCERTs. 9th and 11th NCERT is something I believe to be very important. It gives us a comprehensive understanding of what is general studies of polity.
9th and 11th, right?
9th and 11th, but generally people go for 11th. I also prescribe my students 9th for the very simple reason questions are coming from 9th. There are direct questions that are coming from 9th. So the first thing is like you need to start with the basics. We essentially would need to first have reasonable command over NCERTs. Once we are done with it, it will come down to a good book, a good sort of proper text. Lakshmikant is considered to be a very good book.
Standard books.
Yes, D.D. Basu is considered to be a very good book, right, sir? But at the same time, we actually see there are certain topics which are not covered in these books. For example,
Yeah,
secularism.
you're on that.
Exactly, secularism. For example, representative democracy. What exactly is the difference between our model from UK or for that matter US? In this respect, again, students tend to get confused because उनको लगता है they have to read so many books.
Yeah.
No, you have to be very selective with respect to these topics.
Yeah.
And that is where, as Vineet very rightly pointed out, the role of coaching and mentorship comes about. To be able to tell you, well, theek hai, these are the basic courses, these are the basic resources that you need to go for. On top of it, it is our job to give you the right input required for topics which may not be there in these books, and you don't have to look beyond it.
I think what you pointed out, sir, it is rightly true for almost 90% of the aspirants.
True, absolutely.
But then there are aspirants who have a background in law.
True.
And they might be willing to do more in
See,
this section.
the idea is,
what is the suggestion for them to control their horses in this?
that applies to anyone who's having their, I mean, because general studies, you will have history, economy, you will have polity.
Everybody will have from some background.
So they will always have that inclination towards that background.
Yes.
So if at all you have love for the graduation that you have done, take that as your optional.
Okay.
Nothing better than that.
Great.
But with respect to GS, it will always come down to your ability to understand what UPSC is expecting and trying to define your sources and keep on revising it. Keep on increasing your sources or keep on doing things which you think is important will not cut it, because you are not setting the paper for UPSC, right? So that is the idea.
I just want to ask you one more question apart from what sir is saying. There has been, you say, rumors, a myth in the market. Don't read Lakshmikant. Nothing comes from that book. Anyone reading Lakshmikant won't be able to qualify this exam. So as far as I remember, because it has been a lot of time now out of touch from the polity, more or less questions are coming from that, and that is a good book, which will give a basic fundamental approach.
Absolutely right, sir. Sir, idea is we can claim whatever we want, right? It will all come down to are we able to verify it with facts. So when you look at many of the questions that are coming in prelims, many of the questions that are coming in mains, it is still coming from Lakshmikant. It is coming from the paragraphs that are written in Lakshmikant. So whosoever might be claiming that Lakshmikant is not still a relevant book may not have studied Lakshmikant properly, perhaps, right? So they are not able to do it. Number two, is it that we are still having questions which are out of Lakshmikant? Yes, that is the nature of the exam. It cannot be that one book will be good for every subject. In this regard, current affairs and proper mentorship becomes important, sir.
I think that is where the role of the teacher comes in.
Role of the teacher comes.
I will try to
coaching
put
comes,
it
Unacademy
one
comes.
another way, because as you said, social media has made it very much sensational.
Sensationalism.
Actually, problem is these days students don't realize that they have to qualify this exam for the GS perspective.
Yes.
Rather than they want to become like a lawyer,
True.
or they want to crack any judicial service exam. They want to study polity in such sense. So I feel this is the problem. Basically, this is what is happening over the social media. Few days back, a student met me and he was saying that, shall I stop reading Spectrum? I said, why?
Ma'am.
History book. I was about to ask you that. I said, but why? That is one of the basic book which every aspirant read. No, someone suggested me that don't read Spectrum. It is not worthy. Your take on that, ma'am?
So generally what I to put it very simple and to be very honest, when I start with my modern classes, so my notes, my class notes is an assimilation of NCERT and Spectrum. And generally students fear Spectrum. So I give them two options. One, a student who has got a very good knowledge in modern, who know things in a proper way, I tell them to add it on. But number two, a student who doesn't have any background on history. Let's say like the last time when they prepared history was in class 10th or 12th. So in my classes, I put all of them in the class notes to make it easy and then read Spectrum. So Spectrum is a kind of a guide which you cannot avoid. But to take the fear out, I tell them you read the class notes if they are taking classes from me. If not, I tell them read Spectrum. So there are two ways to see about it.
Ma'am, I think out of all these subjects that are part of the syllabus in UPSC, these are the two standard textbooks that stand out.
True.
There is no such standard
True,
textbook
true.
for any other subject. But other than history, Spectrum and the Lakshmikant for polity,
Polity.
there is
Very-
no other book which can stand, which has a good representation of the topics
Very
being
true,
asked
sir,
in the
because
exam.
Spectrum has got too much of facts. You can't skip it out.
Yes.
So when I teach them, you'll find them in the class notes. So maybe the wordings would be different. Maybe the style of writing would be different. But the context in history would be the same.
And if you stumble upon any of the toppers' blogs, there is no blog, I think, which has not mentioned these two books at least.
Apart from NCRTs, they do mention.
Of course, NCRTs and these two books that are always part of this. Okay, that was really insightful about the history and polity. Coming to geography, sir, which is mostly misconstrued as a study of only maps or locations. And people keep on learning about locations and just locating them on the map. Of course, that is one of the important part. But what other than mapping is important in geography? One, what are the resources that somebody needs to refer to? For example, we know that there are certain concepts that are integral part of the geography. So what your approach is in handling those questions? And thirdly, how geography has to be seen from the lens of the environment, that is one of the important sections in the exam.
True. I will first try to put it in a bilingual way because there are a lot of Hindi medium students also watching this. Geography में maps का एक ना myth बना दिया गया है. Problem ये है कि when there were two optionals, earlier in the old pattern there used to be two optionals. So at that time there used to be map entries in which a good section used to be from the world
Almost
mapping.
120 marks.
Yes,
weightage
and
is there.
good section used to be from the world mapping. So that was a very old trend going on. Now since the syllabus has been changed, codification of the syllabus has taken place, and now you have both world and Indian geography both in prelims as well as in mains. Again, social media.
I think biggest culprit is social media.
Obviously, no, I'm not saying it's a culprit. It's a very good thing if you use it in a very sustainable way.
But the point
See,
is, sir,
everything has a Google. but how to Google it, very rare knows. Like I will, before I come to that question's answer, ChatGPT is there. It's a very good source. But how to use it sustainably? Students, very few students know it. So I was coming to your question. Long time back, there has been 3-4 questions from the mapping. We cannot ignore that. But all those questions which were asked in the exam was related to some contemporary things which has happened in the last 1 year. Now a trend has been made randomly by any person. Start teaching students on YouTube channel North America.
Continent wise.
Yeah, South America, Africa, India, Australia.
सारे फीचर बता दो.
सारे बता दो. मैं तो ये कहता हूँ यार, इंडिया याद रह जाए वही बहुत है. You can study some basic fundamental parts of North America. Let's say some highest peaks there, 1 or 2 resources, and then 1 or 2 important rivers there.
And that I think we'll study in physical geography itself, right?
That's what I'm saying. When a student is studying physical geography, obviously map should be there and these basic fundamentals should be known to everyone. Now to study a particular continent, to remember it mnemonic wise, you might be finding it comfortable for that time period. आपको मजा बहुत आएगा, अरे क्या बात है, मुझे सब याद हो गया है. But trust me, once you land up in the exam, you will forget it. And what is important in mapping is from the last 1 year, what is happening around us. Let's say there was a question.
They're inspired from IRs, the IR international relation related events.
That's what I'm saying. Last year there was a question about the North Sea. Obviously, the Arctic Council was in the news, so they pick up that part. Even if a student doesn't know anything about Arctic
one of the years
Council,
I remember they've asked questions related to the neighboring countries of Afghanistan.
That's what I'm
when
saying.
US was withdrawing.
True.
Neighboring countries of Ukraine.
True.
When the Russia-Ukraine attack happened.
Russia-Ukraine was in the news.
Golan Heights
So
from Israel.
that's what I'm saying. Even when you study in geography about ocean currents or winds, more or less you mark those areas of the North Sea at all. So these are very general knowledge base. I don't even consider them a part of general studies. These are very general knowledge base which you should at least know. But that doesn't mean you have to devote at least 10-15 class especially for the maths to remember tribes, to remember resources. That is not possible as per me.
Not possible.
And second, when you talk about what sources they should follow, newspapers or any magazine which is coming monthly, they can follow that part. But newspaper is something which they can keep an eye on. And for the general study purpose for geography, NCERT is more than enough.
The 11th, 12th, right?
11th, 12th for, if you particularly talk about human economy part. But yes, there are some challenges for the physical geography. If you talk about like geomorphology part specifically.
Like plate tectonics.
हाँ, अगर आप उसको first chapter से पढ़ना लगो तो आप परेशान हो जाओगे शायद. For that you need some mentors help or some teachers help to tell you the basic concepts. Otherwise, climate, oceanography, biodiversity part, even environmental part, basic is very well given in the NCERT. But in geography, somewhat I find some issues. I cannot say issues, some challenges.
What information come by NCERT, I think?
It is informative rather than concept based. Let's say if it is about the seismic wave, they will just tell you PS waves. They will not tell you their, what you call this, detailed process, their detailed characteristics from where the UPSC is asking the questions. And if you talk about 6th, 7th, 8th NCERT, that will give a basic fundamental approach like what is a resource, what is utility, what is solar system. But students come with the notion कि यार हमें solar system भी पढ़ा दो, which is not even required. Questions are not coming from that part. Again, I believe it is a job of a teacher to first bifurcate general knowledge and general studies.
तो जैसे कई लोग तो शुरू करते हैं international वो time वाला उसी को बताते रहते हैं बहुत time तक.
Obviously जरूरत नहीं है वो सब. आप बताइए latitude longitude की basic एक class में information बता दीजिए. You tell them how time is being calculated, but simultaneously tell them what is important. Why two-zone debate, time zone debate in India, daylight saving concept. These are important which can help them in the mains examination.
क्योंकि UPSC हमेशा ऐसे कोई logic की बात पकड़ेगा. If something is going on in the news or discussion is going on related to that. Very insightful, sir. I think this solves most of the first level questions that are there. Definitely when you start studying, you always come up with new set of questions. Coming to, sir, the topics we have discussed right now was history, polity and geography, which has a base in the static subjects, right? Or which have certain books that can be referred to. Coming to your subject, which is economy, I think it is the most conceptual subject. Plus, mostly the questions are from current affairs. Plus, there is always a lack of any standard textbook for the economy. Like you have for history, you have Spectrum, Lakshmikant for polity, and NCERTs that can be referred to this. There are, of course, NCERTs, but they tend to be very technical. So, people who do not have a background in economics or commerce, they feel pretty uncomfortable starting economic preparations. So what is your take on how could somebody start the preparation in that sense?
So I think economics is the most misunderstood subject. So whatever economics is, like, everyone has a phobia. हमने पढ़ा नहीं है. We don't have a background in. So what exactly do we expect, and what exactly is the exam expecting from us? So both of them are a question. So what I would like to suggest on this is that economics is just knowing about the terms. It's just about getting familiar with the terms, not knowing the technical nature of how it is working. So the question you asked about on the book is all about the bachelor's or the master's syllabus, that is, that talk about the models or they talk about the maths behind it, which is absolutely not required here. We just need to be accustomed to the terms which comes in the news.
From the
like
general studies perspective.
General study perspective, what do you mean by growth? What is development? What is GDP? It's just getting familiar with these terms, and once you get familiar, you'll understand out of the 4 subjects is the easiest one. It's just that the phobia के minister सुना है, MLA सुना है, अकबर सुना है, mountain सुना है, but GDP कभी नहीं सुना है, ना कभी GDP की बात.
आजकल तो फिर भी सुन ले रहे हैं, पहले तो ये भी नहीं सुनते थे.
अब GDP की बात नहीं हो रही है, monetary policy की बात नहीं हो रही है. So it's just that if you remove the phobia, it's very logical, it's rational, and with the basic concepts you read the NCERT, but the class, like here, the class is most important because it builds the basics.
Yes.
Once the terms get familiar, you apply yourself in the newspaper.
Like mostly when the students start reading the newspapers, the first thing that they see is the economy page. And that is where they have no idea. Like you read the newspaper of IR, so you'll have some idea about, okay, he's the president of that country, he's the president of that country, or this is the location that is there. But when it comes to economy, that is the most difficult thing to handle if you don't have a background in that. And every time people are now discussing economy only on social media, कि market ऊपर चला गया, market नीचे आ गया.
Exactly. This is
Ukraine से market ऊपर चला गया, Ukraine से market नीचे आ गया.
people having interest in the market, they want to make money, but UPSC is not about that. You want the selection, you don't want the money. He's right. And money, the whole part of financial markets, which people think that this is what the exam is, again, that is also a misconception. The exam is beyond that, and that's a very small part in prelims. So understanding what is required and what you have to read, that's the most crux here in economics. And I think for that, the structure is required. You understand it, then you learn to apply yourself. The book question then goes out of the way. You learn to apply yourself using the concepts. तो आपने कुछ सीखा तो वो आप खुद ही लगाना जान लेंगे कि बुक के पास जाना ही क्यों है जब वो सीख लिया. So it's not a lot of facts which you need to learn. Things will come on their own. You need to just apply them.
जैसे सर बहुत सारे बच्चों को when I come start teaching geography second paper human economy, so lot of things are there linked with the economy. Maybe it's agriculture or industries like infrastructure. पढ़ना नहीं चाहता कोई कि अरे यार ये क्यों पढ़ना है. लोगों को लगता है geography पर GDP GNP तक ही सीमित है. हाँ, टैक्सेशन पॉलिसी उनको लगता है इतना ही है, इसके बियॉन्ड नहीं है. जबकि मुझे लगता है कि मेंस में जो है इट प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, रीजनल डेवलपमेंट, डिस्पैरिटीज, दे प्ले इंपॉर्टेंट रोल एंड गवर्नमेंट इज फोकसिंग ऑन दैट इन द सेम वे. एग्जामिनर
वैसे देखें तो ये सारे सब्जेक्ट ऑलमोस्ट इंटरकनेक्टेड ही हैं एक तरह से.
बहुत साल पहले उसने पूछा भी था रोल ऑफ पाइपलाइंस.
हाँ,
तो आप नहीं भी जानते जीडीपी भाई, रोल ऑफ पाइपलाइंस तो आपको पता होना चाहिए.
बेसिक
सिमिलर रोल ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट में. लेकिन उनको लगता है कि ये करंट अफेयर है, बाद में कर लेंगे.
इसमें भी सर जैसे मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग इज टू मच बिकॉज इफ वी रीड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, हमने मनी पढ़ लिया, हमने जीडीपी पढ़ लिया, फिस्कल पॉलिसी पढ़ लिया, हमारा इकोनॉमिक्स हो गया. अगर आप सिलेबस देखें तो इट्स ऑल अबाउट इंडियन इकोनॉमी इन मेंस. आपको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पढ़ना है, ग्रोथ ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ना है. तो जस्ट बिकॉज मैंने एफर्ट लगा दिया यहाँ पे और कुछ नहीं, दैट्स नॉट ट्रू. इट्स दैट द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द सिलेबस इज लेस. तो वी फील कि हमने थोड़ा किया, हमारा पूरा हो गया. And then we worked hard on that, but we need to be smart about it that the mains is a different ball game altogether. True. वहाँ की फिर अंडरस्टैंडिंग कैसे आए, फिर आपके पास वही सोशल मीडिया, so many news, and then you get confused.
जैसे कि why are we lagging behind China in economic growth?
Exactly.
A very common
सबको
question.
चाइना से compete करना है, US के साथ ही रखना है.
Even after 75 years of independence, हम लोग इतना आगे क्यों नहीं हैं? Why are we not ahead of
Chinese
the other
की
countries?
फोटो लगा देंगे, पीछे झंडा लगा देंगे, and they'll make a video to. सर एक सवाल जो स्टूडेंट्स काफी पूछते हैं, बिकॉज आई थिंक जो मंगल सर ने कहा इट्स वेरी राइट दैट करंट अफेयर्स का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंसेप्चुअल लिंक है इकोनॉमी के बेसिक्स उन्होंने. बट व्हेन स्टूडेंट्स स्टार्ट द जर्नी ऑफ यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन अकेडमी में आते हैं पढ़ते हैं, दे ऑलवेज हैव दिस डाउट कि हमें करंट अफेयर्स कैसे स्टार्ट करनी है, फॉर द रीजन कि अगर इकोनॉमी क्लियर नहीं है, इज इट कि वी शुड बी स्किपिंग इकोनॉमिक आर्टिकल्स, or is it something that we need to keep on reading it till the time we are able to eventually able to figure out? So in your opinion, what is the right way to approach it? Should it be कि students अगर economy के articles नहीं समझ पाए तो उसको skip ही कर दे, या फिर they should keep on studying it and eventually it will make sense?
See, keep on studying. If you don't know something, then we have the curiosity to go to the net and search about it. Then is the point that you get lost in that rabbit hole के आपने एक physical deficit पढ़ा, फिर वो rabbit hole में घुस गए, ये भी नहीं आता, ये भी नहीं आता, ये भी नहीं आता, और सब important है. So just wait for 15 days, so 10-15 classes, we build the basics of GDP money, then you get to decide कि ये article हाँ मुझे पता है important है तो I'll read. So learning the ability to pick out the right thing is what is important in economics. You can't go blankly ke sab important hai. So for a time being, it would be advised to not read the economics news because it's mostly it will come back again, because like sir said, most of it is about Indian growth. So Indian growth is going to be talked about in this whole year. So you're not going to miss out, but if you just start the base, you're going to go in the right direction and not get lost. That's most important.
See, that's what distraction comes, because when students start searching it on the internet, it will land up to the one site, to another link, and in the end he got demotivated. Acha, ye sab hai. And a lot of time I've seen students when searching a particular topic, it takes them to such a detail, such links which are not even required. Especially when I talk about geography, there was a topic called magnetism. So in GS there is a simple reference. What is magnetism? Paleomagnetism. Simple. Now, it is not expected that students should know a magnetism topic as he used to study in class 12th. Now, when they start searching about the magnetism, it took them to some of the journals where the same is being explained with the help of mathematical formulas, and then they give up. A lot of students came, let's say Coriolis force is there, which is just an effect. There is a derivation of it also, and it is a derivation explained through physics formulas where mathematics is used. A lot of students come, sir, we are not able to understand this. I said, this is none of your business. You should know it, that is something different, but is it required for exam point of view or not? So sir was very right in that part. Students should have that patience.
And इसमें one more thing where the distraction comes in, sir. अगर जैसे आपने एक पैलियोमैग्नेटिज्म पढ़ा और उसमें वो पढ़ा, तो आपको लग रहा है 15 मिनट हो गए हैं, तो चलो YouTube पे गाना और सुन लेते हैं. तो आप ये भी कर लेते हैं. Then the essence gets lost. So I forgot why I came to the internet in the first place. And now I had one question, now I have 150 questions, and I don't have the effort to read. So it's completely lost. This is why direction is very important. Where exactly I need to go? What's the exam expecting of me? If that's not clear and if we are not giving that direction, that's you are lost.
I think this points to a very good next follow-up question.
नहीं सर, इनफैक्ट मैं एक चीज ऐड करता हूँ. विद अ सब्जेक्ट लाइक हिस्ट्री एंड पॉलिटी, एक और ट्रेजेडी गूगल की क्या है, people while searching for concepts get into conspiracy theories and then they want us to explain मैम क्या ये सही है गलत है, सर क्या सही गलत मे भी सही है या गलत है, it doesn't matter. Exactly, doesn't matter. They will never ask a question on it. Please sir, सरदार पटेल क्या पीएम बनने चाहिए? मैम why do you want to know the answer for it when it's not important for the exam?
सर जैसे कि इंडिया को
Google can take you anywhere.
Sir, even government is not able to explain that.
अब हम कॉन्स्पिरेसी में इसमें आ गए कि अर्थ इज फ्लैट, इसमें कन्विंस हो गए तो फिर तो क्या बात नहीं.
believing that thing.
A lot of people believe that earth is flat. अब तो ज्योग्राफी सर खत्म ही हो गया.
Explain them किसे कौन चाहिए, बट जब conspiracy है तो conspiracy है. What is true and what is...
So coming to the question that sir asked, one is when you are not exposed to, let's say, economy in the classes and you're reading the newspaper and you stumble upon a news from the economy section, should you read it or not? You've already answered that. But once they've completed the classes, it generates already a lot of curiosity. Then people tend to get into so much detail. They start making notes out of the newspaper. They start keeping the cuttings of the newspaper. What restraint should these students exercise while reading the newspaper once they've already studied it in the class? Any subject, for the matter, economy for example.
So there comes the importance of the syllabus. So once I understand, I need to put a limit on what exactly the exam is going to ask me. So if I know, sir, there's a topic on agriculture and they talk about price policy. So price policy is what is important from the exam point of view. And the limit of the question says 150, 250. So if I have hardly 6 to 7 pages I've got from the newspaper, I'll be able to write an answer. I don't need a thesis. I don't need a complete research paper.
Should one go and read whole of reports of the government of India?
Not at all. Just the summary would work because we just need a 150 to 250 answer. So the exam is asking you to know about everything, not being a researcher in any of these things. So there is where you stop. So if you have 7-8 subjects or 7-8 pages, you'll cover most of it, which is going to give you 250 words.
And the importance of some budget and economic survey.
Yeah, budget economic survey come in very handy because the question would definitely ask you where the government wants to spend money. So the priorities with respect to growth comes from the budget. Again, don't read the budget. What I say, read the newspaper, read both Hindu and the Express. They give a very good coverage. And last 2-3 years, the newspapers have improved on how they cover.
Yeah,
True.
especially
Quite
related to
holistic,
economics
yeah.
section.
Just economics, they've added the explain page in the Express, the
Yes.
context, and so they're
Excellent
not just
context, yeah.
giving you the opinion, they're also explaining what is happening. So they become quite comprehensive. We need to trust those sources because that has a credibility. A lot of research has went into it. So just focus on that. Survey, you revise, you get to know what you read in the whole year. So that becomes a good revision exercise. Both of them, you read it. Don't wait कि ये video आ जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा.
This is what I was supposed. This is what I was supposed to ask you. Among a lot of students, they keep on waiting economic survey कब आएगा, rather than just reading that. Obviously, when government
तो उसके
publish that
YouTube
economic
कब
survey,
आएगा?
बहुत compiled होता है वो भी.
Hmm.
So, what is your take on that? How should students study that particular economic survey? Because it's very, very lengthy and in detail. What to read, what not to read from that becomes a challenge. And then they keep on waiting for some survey which will come on a YouTube. And even that survey will be at least for 1.5 hour or 2 hour. So how to extract things from that and what is relevant or not in that part?
So basically, sir, the survey just talks about what happened in the last year
Yeah.
and what could be the challenges in the upcoming year. Now, if you have done economics in the class and you've got a good understanding, that becomes a very good source to revise. You don't have to wait for someone else's opinion in it because you can hold an opinion in it. So once you read it and just you glance through it, I don't want you read the technical models or go about the data, I'll learn everything. You just need to have an opinion. So just glance through the whole 400 pages. Have a target of 30 pages every day. You finish it in 10 days. You'll have more confidence that even if the question would not be direct, I had a good revision which expanded my knowledge base and also helped me revise the present concepts. Then I can solve it. So you make your notes if you want to scribble something, but do it on your own because that would be a very good revision exercise coming from an authentic source. So I missed newspaper for 3 months, the survey covered the gap. Waiting for the source would be just like 10 pages. It's an opinion which someone has read it and presenting it to you.
But that all depends if a student has first better clarity on the basic economy.
Exactly. So we started with this thing, though you need to understand the first 15 classes, then you go to the newspaper, then the third place you go to the survey.
So it means after classroom, after finishing the classroom coaching or after completing the economy, let's say any student has to appear in 27 or 26. So right now he's going through the classes. Let's say in another 1 month his economy will be over. Just to test himself, can he go the previous year economic survey and go through that part? It will also help him building the confidence.
It would be a revision exercise, but would very less relevant for the exam he's preparing for. So if he's going for 27,
Out of interest if you want to start.
out of interest, if you want to, you can definitely. But if you're looking for the exact questions of the base, things evolve and economy evolves too fast.
Yeah.
So 26, 27, the attempt which you want to give, that year you read it. Rest years is just a choice. It's just like sir reading the ARC reports. It's a choice. It gives you a good base, but it's a choice whether you want to go with it. You have time. You have 3 years. You can definitely improve your knowledge. I think if you start in 25 and you go to 28, you read economics so much, you will be writing a survey in 28. So it's like
You can talk about any sector of the economy.
any sector of the economy and would be an informed discussion because you have the knowledge base.
True,
But if you go for shortcuts के हम highlights से देख लेते हैं, हम video से देख लेते हैं, it's just learning someone else's opinion. That is not going to help a lot.
So the biggest impact that the YouTube videos are having is on the subject that I teach. It is international relations.
We're supposed. I was just coming to that part. How do you deal with IR,
So I'm dealing with
internal
two subjects.
security, and Indian society?
So I'm dealing with these subjects. One is society, on which everybody has a take. That I know the caste system,
True.
I know the tribes, or I know what Indian society is like. And most of the people do not even bother to study that. People, for example, who are appearing for the mains examination, they read only history and geography in that part, and they skip the society portion because everybody feels that they have a take or an opinion or an understanding of the society section. Same is the case with IR because they have seen so much on the social media. In fact, the biggest, I think, item that is getting a clickbait on the internet is IR related topics only. But the problem is those things that you see on the social media, they are pretty much opinionated. They are biased. They are just for the sake of drawing your attention, and they never reflect upon a nation's priorities or how the foreign policy is actually conducted. Because foreign policy is essentially a very diplomatic kind of thing. Diplomacy means you take care of your interests without even outrightly saying that you're trying to just take care of your interests. This is how. And in general parlance or in day-to-day discussions, we find कि ये आदमी diplomatic है, ये ठीक नहीं है. But that exactly is the wrong thing to say when a country does that. For example, right now we are seeing a lot of things related to the tariff imposition by Donald Trump, who has come to power. And world was very different 2 months back.
True, true.
And world is very different since he has come to power. And it will be very different once he again goes goes out of the power. So one of the ways that I approach in the IR section is that in the IR section there is a considerable background to the international relations that are happening right now. For example, the modern international relations that we see, this started after the Second World War, with the formation of the United Nations and the Cold War politics, and how we are still seeing an effect or impact of the Cold War politics in the recent times. Like still there's a competition, there's a power dynamics that is going on. So the point that I always highlight to the students is don't just grab or jump upon to the YouTube videos. Have a sound understanding of the background of the relationships. What are the things that have happened in the recent past in 5-6 years? And then the question that is going to be asked in the examination is definitely we will be asked from the current affairs only. But to understand that current affairs, then what's the importance of that? You will be required to have some understanding of the overall phenomenon. For example, in one of the years, they asked the question that what would be the impact of United States of America's withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal?
True.
You need to know what has been the disposition of United States of America towards Iran, how the relationship have been shaped, what is the interest of India in the Iran, and then you cross-weigh the impact of such an event that is there. Security, then it's a very static subject in the sense that if you know the 5, 6, 7, 8 themes that are there, if you have prepared them thoroughly, like terrorism, like left-wing extremism, Naxalism, like your northeast insurgency, like the threats posed by cyber security, or maybe the impact of social media that we have all been discussing. They are all integral part of the security, and the focus of the nations have now been on managing the threats that arise from within also. Because generally the traditional notion of security has been that you prepare for an attack from the outside country. But now these are the threats that are the fault lines that exist in your society. So you handle those things. I think for the current affairs, for the international relations, people should read newspaper, but with an academic quest, with an understanding of what UPSC is expecting from you, not from the point of view of whatever is going on the
I
YouTube.
was coming to that only. I have seen a lot of people making opinions on it,
Yes.
which are very different from the realities. Like, if there is an issue going in Iran, fine, Iran and let's say USA, or if there is an issue going in Iraq, there is an opinion-based, agenda going there. I don't think examiner will ever ask you what is Shia-Sunni conflict there.
No, they're never going to
So
ask.
unnecessary teaching Shia-Sunni conflict or giving an opinion ki
So they go into the religious debates of the Shia and Sunni.
not forget about the religious debates. Let's say I was going through one of the such reel on internet. I don't know how true it is and how genuine it was. But realizing right now, I think it was just opinion of some person without a good study, thorough study.
Definitely.
कि कुछ ऐसा था कि ट्रम्प के पावर में आते ही बांग्लादेश के प्रेसिडेंट को निकाल दिया जाएगा. ठीक है?
Who can predict, sir?
That's what I'm saying. And ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं आने के बाद. तो अब जिस बच्चे ने उस टाइम ये देख लिया होगा तो ओपिनियन बना देगा ना कि यार ऐसा होगा.
Sir, social media will make you believe that you attack tomorrow China and you will win the war.
That's what I'm saying.
Social media can make you believe anything.
And North Korea क्या नहीं plan कर रहा है, उनके पास क्या नहीं technology है, right?
So that is, I think, the biggest challenge that I face while teaching the international relations, and I always tell them, this is an academic exam. This exam is not about your opinions or the opinions that you see on the social media. It is about how a country sees things, how the diplomatic community sees the things, how the foreign policy of the country is formed. And if you have to just have an essence of what foreign policy looks like, just go through the statements given by the Prime Minister, how calculated they are. Then they are always free from personal biases.
True.
They are always well calculated, realistic, measured statements to be related to any country. For example, recently Prime Minister Modi visited America, right? And he sat beside Trump, discussed things very thoroughly, very clearly, and it was like a bargain that was going on.
Okay, one more question. Like I would like a answer from all of you, or it's just a your viewpoint on that. I will come to you, Piyush sir, first. How much role coaching is playing in this examination?
We've all been talking about how social media is influencing. Everybody has that Google now. Everybody has the Chat GPT. But do you really know how to ask questions? Do you really know what the exam is expecting and how much you know? So this direction and this habit of knowing the question and what to ask is what I think the coaching is going to give you. You have to work hard. The basics would be here. The newspaper reading would be here. But exactly how to apply that particular thing in different scenarios, in different contexts, is what you need to learn. And if you get lost in the abyss of social media and everybody is doing that, so you also should, you need to know ChatGPT, that's not a race. So you need to separate yourself from that. That is where the structure would be important. Have it in a structured manner and knowing where to go. You have to go it yourself, we can just show the direction. So that is where I think, sir, the coaching would stand important.
So will self-study be required once you do the coaching?
Definitely.
Because there's a
Definitely.
conception that
Definitely.
once you do the coaching, everything
No,
is
no,
done.
no.
Then you go and take the examination.
Actually, one more thing I believe, students have now left that interest of studying textbooks.
Yes, very good, very relevant.
The thing about self-study, I'll just make a very simple analogy. The trainer in the gym is going to tell you lift weights and how to lift weights. He's not
Yes.
going to lift it for you.
Yeah.
So if he is going to lift it, he's the one who's going to get that body. So if you are looking for the body, you need to lift it. We'll tell you how to lift it and what is important at what
And what's the technique for that?
what's the technique for it and which body part is important and how exactly to cover it. So, but the lifting of the weights has to happen of yourself. And if you think the trainer is going to put it in you, that's not going to happen.
This is what brings you in discipline. And similarly, if you have to run a marathon and you'll keep on thinking, okay, I'll be on a treadmill or I will be at a home, thinking, okay, I have to participate in this particular marathon. You have to go on the ground. You have to hit the ground. You have to, what do you call this? Be compatible with the ground, footsteps, and your breathing. So that is what brings you in discipline. I think the same role is played by the coaching.
Exactly.
Yes.
The structure, the training is very important, without which you get lost, and the information which is flowing right now, where ma'am also said about history, बाजीराव मस्तानी साहब हिस्ट्री नहीं पढ़ सकते, बट आप उस टाइम के लिए कन्विंस हो जाओगे कि हमारा एंटरटेनमेंट भी हो गया है और हमें सीखने को भी मिल गया है. That is not true. This is an academic exam and there has to be a strategy, there has to be a method to the madness. That method, I think, is what a structure like an institute is going to bring.
I still remember after watching Jodha Akbar, a lot of students start making perception, oh, this is the reality.
The question is, Akbar must be looking like
Impressionable minds and the information is coming for free, sir. Like the opinion is for free.
True.
If like sir said about Trump, तो Trump 4 साल बाद क्या करेगा वो नहीं, हमें तो ये पता है कल सुबह भी क्या करेगा वो.
He's unpredictable.
He is unpredictable, but people here think that they know what Trump is thinking.
But the point is, you can't write it in the examination that he's unpredictable. You'll write that his style of policy is transactional.
And first, even if we say transactional, the higher part, you need to know what is important and what's not. I can have an opinion on thousands of things, but the exam is not going to care about those. It's about what the exam is going to ask. I need to have an opinion on that.
Yes.
And that is the academic part, which again comes from an institute, the structure.
So in fact, on that point, जो सर ने सवाल पूछा, what exactly is the role of coaching in today's time? So one thing that I always kind of make it clear to students generally is that we need to understand the difference between a teacher and coach. So generally with academics, like, with an academy, we tend to believe coach is more of a teacher, which is fine. It's just true that we are there to teach people. But actually the purpose of coach is to get performance out of you. See, the idea is that when you look at Gautam Gambhir, like he's the coach. Now, will he be teaching Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli how to play a pull shot? Of course not.
Yes.
But the most important reason for which we are holding him accountable, that are you able to prepare a team in which we are able to see them win matches, see them in tournaments?
Strategize for them, yeah.
Exactly. Why? Because you actually, coach role mainly is to make sure that what you're competing against, you're better than them. Right. And the same applies over here. One part of our job is to ensure that we are able to give you the right input with respect to teaching, no doubt. But then a major part of our role, for which I think coaching will always be more important, is because of the fact that we'll tell you what to do and what not to do, what is going to be important for the exam, where exactly you're supposed to get the right
I think
information.
it has been given a term, mentorship these days.
Mentorship,
Here
right?
we provide a blend of both.
And it is our job to make sure that we are reading those 20 books so that those 20 things which are relevant from those 20 books are at one place for you and you don't have to read those 20 books, right? So that is where the role of coach comes about. What exactly we are able to serve you, which is going to get performance out of you. And sir has very rightly said, self-study will always have an important role because that is going to
Even
differentiate
longer
the
classes,
people.
right?
Exactly. But the role of coach is to ensure that your self-study becomes very oriented, very efficient. It's not as if in your self-study you're putting effort into a direction which is not required. So coach helps you in order to get the performance. This is where you need to put in the effort. This is where you'll get the maximum benefit of, maximum chance. I often see many of the toppers, I'm not against anyone, but often see toppers who claim that they never took coaching, which is fine. For some of them, it might be true. But when you actually inquire them informally, almost every one of them have read the materials,
Yes.
have read the notes of some of the prominent teachers, have taken test series, have actually watched lectures. In this regard, it sounds fancier when you actually come out and say the fact that I coaching nahi li. But when you actually look at the reality, people are taking coaching and it is very understandable. See, this is not an exam like IIT or NEET where it is only about those certain topics from which questions will be asked.
So it's a pretty
You can be a-
standardized objective exam.
Exactly. You can be a law graduate, but you need to know knowledge about economy, knowledge about history. You can be a person who's actually coming from engineering background. So you might be having reasonable understanding about science and tech, but what about your IR? What about your polity? So idea or rather relevance of coaching, at least the way I see it, is most relevant in UPSC preparation because you're dealing with something which is general studies. So everything is general, everything you need to study.
And I believe like without coaching you can get selections, but with the help of a good coaching you can get good ranks.
Good. True.
I personally believe it. You see any topper from the last 5-6 years, they have got good ranks. Maybe they might not be disclosing that we have studied or not, but more or less, as sir was saying, that they must have watched any videos, referred any material. And coaching, I do believe in this notion that yes, without coaching you can qualify it, but maybe it might take you 2 years,
So
3
take some
years, or
years.
4 years.
True.
But coaching within that 1 year of the span tells you what to read, what not to read. I keep on telling this thing that we are just acting like that GPS, showing you direction. See, go left, go right. The control of the car, steering, clutch, brakes,
with the
accelerator, it
student.
is with you. Now it's all up to you how you balance all these three together and follow that direction. Finally, you have to sail your ship yourself. We can just show you the direction.
True.
And I just earlier tried to again sum up this. Coaching tell you your goals should be very specific. When I say smart work, measurable, they should be achievable. Goal should not be that something which is not achievable. It should be achievable. It should be reliable. That faith, that is very important. And then it should be time bound.
Yeah.
There is no fun of studying if you have a like government के 5 year plan successful नहीं होते. तो आपके कहोगे सर मुझे 6 साल बाद देना है 5 साल बाद. So there should be something time bound that which you should finish. That will give you a discipline. I think this is the major role what coaching plays. And let's say when you talk about test, students
So I
nowadays-
was asking you that thing only. Every one of us have an understanding of that thing, and people when they start preparing, they directly jump on to answer writing or taking the prelims tests all of a sudden, or start solving the questions. Like there's a myth in the minds of the students that if I solve 10,000 questions, I'll qualify the examination. Or if I solve, let's say, 100 tests of the prelims examination, I'll qualify the examination. And people start to do it right from the beginning itself. Without even having any background in that subject, they start writing the answers.
Base is required, sir.
Yeah.
So once you cover your base and your topics are well done, well read, you have at least a basic understanding of a particular topic. Then they can go on with practice. If a student doesn't know what is Indus Valley civilization, what is the point of taking a test?
But then
So that will be like
they're studying it on social
demotivating.
media.
Now the WhatsApp University is more popular than the academies.
No, the question on which you were saying 10,000 questions, I don't agree with that. Maybe some might be doing that, but I think for
The point is when to start it, because we are mostly talking to beginners here,
see,
and beginners, I think they should not jump onto the solving of the questions right from the beginning.
it's not only about beginners or who are about to give an
Yeah.
attempt. It's about 20,000 question, 40,000 question. You will find most of the question repeated.
Repetitive.
So for any coaching, whichever test series are there, 20-25 tests are there. Even a student give honestly 5 to 7 tests.
Yeah.
He has to basically realize what mistakes he is doing or what mistake a particular aspirant is doing. It is not the test of your knowledge only. It is a test of your, if you talk about analytical skills also.
The presence of mind.
True. And those students who are appearing, like who are the beginners, I believe first they should give some time. At least, let's say if they start, I will talk about my subject. If they start with the geography, let at least first 5-6 days go. When they will be familiar with that subject, let's say if we start with the rocks, if we talk about mass wasting, weathering, once you get familiar with these, then you can pick up any test.
Mm.
And better is if you take the MCQs and some subjective question given at the end of the NCERT chapter wise, it will help you in building up some base. Once your topic is thoroughly over, let's say you are in the midway of your geography, so then you can start picking previous year questions and start solving them. But you should not get demoralized if any question is there which you are not able to solve.
I think in the last section, I would like to ask you the most common mistakes that are made by the students. So, what are the most common mistakes that a beginner does in each of your subjects? So, for example, polity. The last word on what are the common mistakes that a student does when he starts preparing for the polity.
So I think we have discussed a number of problems that students are doing
But
anyways.
to
right,
make
all
it
the
very
mistakes.
specific, yeah.
So the first mistake that people do is they do not understand the syllabus. They do not understand what exactly are the questions that are being asked, and they tend to study too many resources. So the first advice I give you all my students is, if at all you're starting from scratch, start from your NCERTs.
Okay.
You can start from 9th NCERT, you can start from 6th NCERT, it's fine. Reading NCERT will never go waste. So the first thing is you need to know that you have to start from NCERT. If you're not reading NCERT and you're trying to figure out foundation from any coaching material for that matter, you are not on the right
It will
path.
make no sense.
Number two, you always will need to know these are the things that I'm going to do for this subject. For example, I have a standard book. I have lecture Anubhav sir ke notes, right? I have my MCQs that I'm going to do. As sir said, pick one institute that you believe. We believe at Unacademy we are trying to bring about the best of MCQs that is going to get you what is required for the exam. Take one good test series, one good textbook, one good coaching material, and keep on practicing. You should not be increasing your resources. All you need to do is, more you practice, more you might understand something that might be missing. आप उसको note करके लिख लो, right?
Yes.
But that's it. I think don't overcomplicate it, because that is where I see the best of students are actually messing things up, right?
Geography.
See, main problem what I have seen, it's not only with the geography, with most of the subjects.
General thing.
Compilation of material.
Oh.
They compile
become collector
so
of material.
much, they compile so much material on their study table, then they get confused what to read, what not to read. Note making. If NCERT, I'm just giving an example, if NCERT, let's say for any particular class is of 30 pages, students can note 100 pages ke honge. So there is no fun of making such notes which is exceeding even the limit of the page number of the books.
Yeah.
So for particular subject, geography or any subject, I don't think you should have notes more than 50 pages. Then only you can revise, because you have to make just important points there. You don't have to write each and every paragraph. Lot of things are there which you can remember at the back of the mind. And second is research. They think geography is only science. Humse nahi hoga. And they want to learn just facts. They think map is what all geography is about.
Yeah.
No, it is just a 0.01% in geography. Maps, as in a simple, even if you're not preparing for the UPSC or not preparing for UPSC, every individual should have that general perception about maps. What
basic
map is.
understanding.
It is a basic understanding.
Some people are really bad with directions.
No, not even the directions. In school, at least basic हमें पता है यार north, south, west, east में है क्या. और सबसे बड़ी mistake तो यही है research.
So ये भी नहीं पता होता north south कहाँ पे.
Faith नहीं है. I'm telling you, students should have a faith. Wherever, whatever material they are studying, they should have a faith. Let me give you an example. It's not that I'm teaching in an academy, then only I'm saying. I have read environment and geography material thoroughly.
Yeah.
And it's very good as per the need of the exam. With every topic, they have given MCQs. With every topic, they have given PYQs and its analysis. Even environment, which is, there is no dearth of material for environment. You read anything, आपको लगेगा कम है. They have so concise. Yes, last year sabhi update nahi hua hai. See, every book has some printing errors. Even NCERT has some printing errors. So even if you exclude those printing errors, because we are there to help you, stick to any particular one material which coaching is giving you. Let's say nowadays I'm teaching environment in the classes. कभी-कभी मुझे भी लगता है यार मैं क्या पढ़ाऊँ, सब कुछ तो दिया है इस book में. So then I ask them, okay, get this book. If I'm teaching you biodiversity, let me tell you the basic concepts. Everything is there given in a very beautiful way. Problem is students अपनी एक study material नहीं पढ़ेंगे. They want to compile study material of all the coaching institutes. I don't think is there any race going on कि सबसे ज़्यादा material किसके पास है कि वो जीतेगा. तो अगर ये दो तीन चीज़ों को अवॉइड किया जाए, stick to basics, stick to the class notes, stick to the class lectures rather I would say, and follow that and have a faith. They will see the miracles. Now the question is how to trust on that. Once your topic halfway is over, start solving the questions. You will get yourself an idea whether we are on a right track or not. rather than asking another, तुझे ये पता है, तुझे ये पता है, तुझे ये पता है. That is something what was confusing students. अरे मुझे ये नहीं पता.
तो वो तो हर आदमी के पास 3 सवाल होते हैं पूछने के लिए,
True.
जो कि उसके पास होता है कि अगले को नहीं
In
आएंगे.
fact, you have these students जो सिर्फ collect किए जा रहे resources.
हाँ.
They are not even studying even of any resource. I mean, the thrill that they are getting is कि हमारे पास इनके भी test series है, उनका भी test series है, इनका भी material है, उनका भी notes है. What's the point of that, right?
Seriously.
Sir.
So economy.
Economy, I would like to just add on to the sources point कि थोड़ा phobia हटाना पड़ेगा.
हाँ.
Like if you have to prepare, you have to prepare, and things get better with time. So it's like we accept कि आज नहीं आता but आगे आ जाएगा.
True.
If we just focus on that कि over a period of time we'll improve, I think the subject gets easier. So you take a leap of faith कि एक कर लिया source, like you said कि एक ही source पे हम रुकें, have some reliability, have some faith, have some trust, and then move the phobia away. I think things get better with time. So understanding it's a time-driven process. Collecting sources would not help, but reading them would help. तो अगर हम ये एक्सेप्ट कर लें जो चीज़ कम आती है उसको ज़्यादा पढ़ना पड़ेगा, आई थिंक थिंग्स गेट ईजियर सर.
So the same again to add on, limit your sources.
Perfect.
Number 2, trust your teacher. Number 3, hold on your anxiety. Have some patience. Work on a timetable. So every student should have a timetable. Like, they need to have a good amount of sleep. They need to have a good amount of study time. So students mismatch both of them. They don't sleep, they study. The next day they fall sick. So these are the mistakes what I see very common in Delhi right away, that ma'am, I don't sleep, I fall sick. So which means they don't have a plan. They do not know about themselves, about their routine. So hold on to a timetable, have a good work plan.
And one more thing I want to add here, as sir has also said, you are also doing the same thing, syllabus. There are only 2 legal documents issued by the UPSC. One is syllabus, another is PYQ.
PYQ.
So
Sticking to them.
obviously it is just the way we follow or possess our religion.
True.
We should stick to that syllabus.
Faith.
Most of the students don't know what is there in the syllabus. Second is PYQ analysis. You should regularly do a PYQ analysis. If you are studying any topic, you should see the pattern on which the questions have been asked. I think this will help them to build up confidence, and this journey will be a smooth.
True.
Yeah, perfect. One more thing I would like to ask is, how important is revision? Because generally people tend to read it for the first time and they feel that I'm not understanding it enough, or some people tend to overdo the revision part of it. Or what exactly construes as a part of the when you do multiple revisions? For example, every topper has been talking about multiple revisions, time and again revisions. How many times should we revise,
When I see revision,
and how should we do it, ma'am?
so it's like once a topic is over, you start revising it. So I don't stick on to a time particularly. So do it umpteen times, still your heart says you're okay with the fact. So for history, I tell them that.
And I think many
It's
a
like-
times, ma'am, more than structured revision, the casual revision is also important to get acquainted with certain things.
Casually, do not stress upon it. Umpteen times, still even some kids take it with 2 revision. Some do it with 5. So don't compare. Because individually, we all have a different
When you feel
capacity.
confident.
So till you feel confident, you keep revising.
Sir, actually, I was hoping to ask the same question to both of you. Sir, with respect to economy and IR in particular, one of the things that students often ask me, sir, how exactly what we are preparing for prelims is different from that of what we need to prepare for mains, and exactly do we separate the two? So along with the revision question, Piyush sir, if you can take it, and then Sir Mangal sir.
So basically the economic syllabus, if we say there's a pattern of the conceptual part, the macroeconomics, and the Indian economy part. And Indian economy is what the analysis is required. So first we have a basics on both macroeconomics and Indian economies, then we go for the analysis. So this is where we separate prelims and mains. So you should know what MSP is and what the MSP crops are. But whether MSP is going to solve the problem of the farmers or not, that is the mains part we go to. So if we have a basics of macroeconomics and Indian economy, then the analysis on Indian economy is what comes to mains. And the biggest issue that the students face is when they start doing macroeconomics, it's like the phobia, and then you get acquainted कि चलो हमने कर लिया है. No, you've just got the basics right. Now is where the analysis part comes, where you need to prepare agriculture, you need to prepare industry, you need to prepare infrastructure, you need to know about growth. So analysis is equally important because mains is only going to talk about Indian economy. It's not going to ask you what is fiscal deficit. It's going to ask you why India's fiscal deficit is high. So understanding the basics would get you the prelims. Analysis part, which you apply yourself, is what the mains is. So that small differentiation, but I think that happens over a period of time. We realize कि ये हो रहा है और ये हमें ऐसे करना है. Because once we teach the concept, we tell them कि how to write answers, they understand the difference. So it's like when you start moving, you will be able to differentiate. It's just you need to make a move. Standing at one point and thinking कि अभी हम सब कुछ कर लेते हैं अलग अलग, वो नहीं. It's a process. So once you take first step, you'll know the second and the third. But for that, the first step has to be taken. The leap of faith has to be there. और phobia थोड़ा सा हटाना पड़ेगा, तब ये चीजें सारी solve हो जाएंगी.
And so your views on revision?
Revision, yeah. So the thing about revision, like ma'am said, it has to have a structure and it has to be casual because you're preparing 7-8 subjects at the same time. तो वो भूलोगे ही. तो वो देख के याद आ जाता है, पर बार बार देखना पड़ेगा. इससे अच्छा बार बार पढ़ना. So बार बार पढ़ना would be one. Once you revise after the class, you revise it after 7 days. And the best part would be that you read the newspaper also. So the revision now is applied. So I read fiscal deficit in the class, the newspaper said fiscal deficit, तो मेरा वो merge हो गया. Reinforce हो गया. तो अब मुझे भी उतना आता है जो मैम निर्मला सीतारमन ने बोला. तो मुझे उनकी बात समझ आ रही है, तो हो गया हमारा काम.
But active, I believe like active reading is very important. When you do revisions, that active reading is very important because students what normally do, they pick the book, passively read it. Okay, I know it. मुझे तो आता है ये. But at least whatever you are reading for the revision purpose, first concise your notes and after that give it again an in-depth, what do you call this, thought. And best way I personally believe is best way of revision is by solving the questions.
True.
Because every time you will read the same part, you will get bored. You can do the value addition that. In spite of compiling the resources, you can do the value addition to that particular topic and yes, solve questions. What I mean by solving question doesn't mean 30,000-40,000. If you're, let's say, talking about physical deficit, so take some questions on the physical deficit and start solving it. Let's say out 20-30 questions you are solving on the physical deficit. If you are comfortable with 17-18, you know, okay, it is fine. The portions which you are not able to solve, then open the notes and revise it. I think it will help you to build up your confidence also. Same go with the mains. If you have completed any particular topic and now you want to write on that, so better is take PYQ and start writing on it. Yes, your mentor or a teacher can tell you a structural form. Okay, how this whole, what do you call this, content which you are having for that particular topic, you need to concise in 150 and 250 words. But again, it will take time. You have to have faith on that. It's not in one day miracles happen. And stop comparing with others. Maybe some students, depending upon their educational background, they are good in writing. And it's not about God gifted only. It's all about your how schooling in college has taken place. So some people are able to write in a first attempt very well. Some might take time. But if you start comparing with them, it will give a feeling of like being rejected. Yaar, mujhe kuch nahi aata. So don't compare with that part. And revision is something like a daily part of our life, as we consume food every day to survive or do exercise to survive. So same way is the revision. But it should be active reading, what I personally believe.
So you were saying about IR.
Okay, so you were saying, sir, IR, which is one of the dynamic parts, and how to deal with it in the prelims and the mains
And
examination.
how to differentiate the both.
Actually, per se, the preparation for the prelims and the mains, it is very, very different in the especially in the field of IR, except for one portion, which is international organizations.
Okay.
You get the analytical part of it in the mains examination, and you sometimes get objective questions on the international organizations in the prelims examination. But mostly the questions that UPSC is focusing upon in the IR section in the prelims, they are mostly asking questions from current events, one. Even in current events, they have a specific choice of questions like the locations that they are asking. Mostly conflict zone based locations. They are their favorite area that they normally ask you questions upon. Or any organization that has been in news related to that, the conceptual part of it. Like what are the basics of UNSC or the World Trade Organization, or what is something related to that in the news that has been there. So they normally tend to ask you questions from those sections in the prelims examiner. But when it comes to mains, like economy, it is analytical. Like in the mains, you already have a clearly defined syllabus. Plus, we have a queue about those topics from the previous year questions. Previous year questions that have UPSC has been asking in the last 10 years, it has clearly highlighted that the nature of questions that you can expect in the examination. Keeping that thing in mind, I think the analysis part of it should be prepared. Rather than preparing it in a very general fashion, you need to know how exactly what UPSC is expecting from you in the mains examination, in the IR section especially. And I think it has been a very fruitful discussion. One last thing that I think everybody would like to comment upon is the motivation syndrome that we all know. Everybody has been talking about motivation, or sir, I tend to get demotivated, or how to keep yourself motivated. And I think there are thousands of videos on the internet about how to keep yourself motivated, but rarely any one of them works properly and keeps anybody motivated. So what's the thing that can keep the
So-
students motivated?
My take on motivation is self-motivation. That's the zeal, the fire, what you have inside, because we know our commitments.
Yeah.
We know why are we here, in spite of all the other pressure. So what do you really want? What does your family want? What do you want? Why are you giving this exam? If you have that intention within you, I think that's the take on my motivation.
So I would like to second with ma'am in whole thing, because your parents can't tell you to sit and study.
True.
Like that era is gone. So they can't make you sit for 2 hours, they can't make you sit for 4 hours. It's what comes from within. So if you know why you're here and what comes from within, you might get lost on some days. It's okay, probably you are, because the direction or the destination is like 1 year away. So that definitely you're going to have bad days, but doesn't mean that it is like the whole thing is gloomy. Good days are going to come, just believe in yourself. So the whole thing about coming from within is believing in yourself and not letting someone else tell you what is good and what is
True,
bad.
true.
And I think nobody's forcing you to prepare, right? It's a choice. You have come here as a matter
So
of choice.
even if they force you,
Yeah.
it might be the family.
Yeah.
So what I believe, ma'am, to stay motivated, make small goals. Don't jump for the big goals. Make small goals. Make weekly or daily based goals, and start achieving those goals. And when you start achieving these goals, enjoy, cherish those moments.
True.
It will keep you motivating, and you will never even realize कि when you have achieved that big goal.
True.
So if you want to be कि okay यार मुझे एवरेस्ट पे चढ़ना ही चढ़ना है, तो ठीक है भाई, लेकिन उसके लिए prepare तो कर. Take some small
Small
steps.
steps.
And you should,
Squads.
yeah, and you
Self
should,
targets.
and you should enjoy while achieving any of your goal, how
has to be
big
playful.
or how small it is.
True, true.
It will keep you motivating.
In fact, sir, in ethics, there's a topic where you discuss the difference between motivation and dedication.
Yeah.
And the simplest way to understand is you can get motivated and there will be a source for your motivation, but it will always have a time span. There will come a time when your motivation level is going to go down. Right? Let's say you watch a movie, आपने भाग मिल्खा सिंह भाग देखा या लक्ष्य movie देखी, right? You will get motivated. आपने सिंघम देखी, you got motivated, but your motivational levels are going to go down beyond a certain point. And what takes you further will be your dedication. So your dedication becomes one, your motivation levels have gone down. If you're dedicated towards the goal, then you do not require motivation to take you forward. It's the dedication that will take you forward. And a mark of dedication is how much you're prepared to sacrifice. I often tell to students, nothing great comes in life without sacrifice. You can be Prime Minister Modi, you can be Virat Kohli. They are the best in their field for the very simple reason they were dedicated towards their profession.
Towards one
So
cause.
Virat Kohli has sacrificed everything if you think about it.
Yesterday only made 100.
He made 100 and look at the fitness of the man.
Yeah.
Right? I think he scored just 6 fours and everything else was running. 7 fours, right? And what exactly it shows? It shows the fact that he's dedicated. He will get up before anyone who is his competitor. He's going to work out. He's going to sacrifice the meal, the taste of chola bhatura as we know it, right? And
that
that
is
is what it
discipline,
takes.
what I'm saying.
Exactly. That is what it means to be dedicated. Your preparedness to sacrifice. When I look at so many students who come and prepare, they're 22, 23, 24, right? And they often look at the friends there might be sort of going for some Rishikesh trip or the Goa trip. This is what it takes for you to prepare for this exam. Your preparedness to sacrifice all that, because what you're preparing for is actually much bigger than the sacrifice that you're making, right? So that is one thing. Secondly, as sir very rightly said, and actually I read in this book called Atomic Habit, the idea of getting proper sustainable dopamine release is when you're able to create proper habits and you stick to it. So on daily basis, if at all you're able to achieve your goals, you will keep yourself motivated with respect to next day, with respect to next day, with respect to next day, and suddenly you realize that you have just won the battle. And it may seem very logical, it may seem very easy to you, just because the hard work has not been of last 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It has been that sustainable hard work that you have put in for last 1 year. Just a very small instance, forgetting the name, Michael Phelps.
Oh, yeah.
So Michael Phelps was someone who had started preparing for Olympics when he was just 10, 11 years old. So one of the things that he had done was, and this is something which is a standard practice for swimmers, that they actually count the strokes with respect to how much the laps they need to do by when they're going to reach the other end, right? So he had done all that process and everything. On the day, there was some fog that came into his goggles, right? For the swimmers. So he wasn't quite able to see how much, where exactly he has to, but he knew the count. So he just kept on counting and he kept on swimming and he did not even know how far is his competitors because he cannot see.
Okay.
Right. And the very moment he completed the race, he knew he's in top 3 because everyone was celebrating. He removed his goggles and he saw he has broken the world record.
Oh, great.
So the very idea that he does not know what competitors is doing actually take him to a point in which his work ethics was good enough to create a world record. So I think the same applies with respect to you being dedicated. How far you are prepared to do the tough bit on daily basis. Right?
True, you can be motivated for a day to lose the weight, but it's a long journey. If you stick to discipline every day, see, discipline.
I think that's a comment on me.
No, nothing like that. So I believe discipline is something which will tell you, see, I don't bother what is your position, what is your daily routine, and how tired or how much you are exhausted. Discipline says, I want this, you have to do it.
True.
So I think it is discipline is more about making it a ritual.
Obviously.
Making the preparation sacred and then ritually preparing for it.
And discipline
Like you
has
have
an
a fixed
amount
schedule
of
for
pain.
everything.
Discipline requires an amount of pain.
Yeah.
That should be there.
Ma'am, I think the ritualization
And
of the
over the
things you
period of
started
time,
8
you
o'clock,
start
do it
enjoying
like
that.
often.
True.
So I think it was a really insightful discussion, everyone, and all of the teachers have shared their experience. They have been we all have been guiding the new aspirants as well as the aspirants who are qualifying the examination. Everyone comes with a lot of experience of taking the examination themselves and guiding the students properly. And that is why I think if you are a beginner, you can take the best of the guidance and the mentorship by joining Unacademy centers at Delhi, Prayagraj, and Patna. So I think, so what's the last word? Let's
Let's
crack
crack
it.
it.